The mantra of this show is a Republican does not a conservative make, and incumbent Justin Holland didn't accept the invitation to be here. He's hoping that he can buy his way back into the Texas House with signs, mail, and commercials full of empty rhetoric and half-truths. However, the two conservative candidates running for Texas House in District 33 are here in the bunker for some straight talk, which is exactly what you're going to get. I'm Bunker Bob Steinhagen, and this is The Bunker Bob Show. Welcome back, friends, to the second of 10 candidate forums being held in the bunker. And this show is especially important to voters in Texas House District 33 because after turning his back on the platform priorities of the Texas GOP delegates, he's running a campaign claiming to be a conservative. So before you hear from the GOP challengers in this race, let me highlight Mr. Holland's record to demonstrate why his campaign rhetoric, claiming to be a conservative, is one of the most outrageous lies Republicans will hear this primary season, and why informed Republicans would not want to have anything to do with re-electing him. In the description of the show today is a link to the report card posted by the Texas State Republican Legislative Priorities Committee about how each member of the State House and Senate either supported or undermined efforts to enact the 8 legislative priorities that were voted on by Texas State GOP delegates from among the hundreds of platform planks adopted. So to get a better idea about why Justin Holland is the poster boy of Rhino Republicans, let's compare his report card to State Representative Brian Slayton's report card, whose candidate forum will be posted in the coming days. This allows you to see the difference between a true conservative versus a Rhino Republican like Justin Holland. It's important to understand that it's not just how our legislators vote when they're on the floor, because Holland knows that if he votes against any legislative priority that comes to the floor, it's certain death, because he's then on the record. In the Senate and the House, rhinos reveal themselves by the work they do on the legislation that is being proposed for consideration. Justin Holland neither filed nor co-authored any bill supporting any legislative priority, while Brian Slayton authored 3. Now, when it comes to election integrity, Justin Holland signed on to just 4 of the 12 bills proposed, while Slayton signed on to 11 of the 12. When it comes to religious freedom, Holland signed on to just 8 of the 21 bills, while Slayton signed on to all of them. Holland signed on to just 2 of the 6 bills to ban gender modification, while Slayton signed on to 4 of the 6. Holland talks about his support of protecting innocent human life, but supporting just 4 of the 9 bills proposed, while Slayton supported 8 of the 9. But despite the fact that Holland has a perfect rating from the NRA and the Texas State Rifle Association, it's important to understand that both of these organizations will support any legislator, Republican or Democrat, who votes in favor of their bills on the floor. When it comes to actually doing the work of pushing through legislation that protects our gun rights, Holland supported just 1 of 4 bills for constitutional carry, while Slayton signed on to all 4. Holland gave no support to protect the monuments of our state, while Slayton supported 5 of the 7 bills proposed. And when it comes to banning taxpayer-funded lobbying, Holland gave absolutely no support to any bills proposed, while Slayton supported 2 of the 3 bills. As with every candidate forum that I record, the purpose is to give each candidate the opportunity to put their best foot forward, which is why, as I have always done, the candidates received a copy of the questions before they had to decide to participate. However, it's also an open format where I ask follow-up and clarifying questions because you deserve more than the stale talking points that fit inside a typical soundbite. So it makes sense that a politician like Mr. Holland is less inclined to come where he can't control the rhetoric and will actually have to defend his record. Through the magic of video, it will appear that all the candidates are here in studio at the same time. However, each candidate sat down with me for a one-on-one interview, which is edited together to create the illusion that they're here at the same time. This is why I will ask follow-up questions of one candidate, but not the other, and why the candidates do not respond to one another's answers. In fact, the first time either candidate will have heard the answers from their opponent will be after the show has been broadcast. Now, I never place time limits on candidates' answers. However, when they go long, and sometimes they do, we will edit it for time. Since most of the candidates are not used to being on camera as they're not professional politicians, before we begin, I let every candidate know that they can re-answer or restate anything that they say because the purpose of today's show is to allow them to be the best that they can be. So let me introduce the candidates for today's show, and I'd like to start with Scott LaMarca. Retired honorably, accomplished 23 years of combined military services as an Army reservist and in active duty. He's a true hero, and that's an honor to have him in studio today. He carried out multiple back-to-back rapid deployments, survived enemy attacks and IED explosions, and I'll talk about that in a minute. He is a member of various military and conservative organizations, the American Legion, VFW, 82nd Airborne Association, NRA, Rockwall Men's Republican Club, and the GOP. He was primarily active with airborne divisions throughout his duration with the U.S. Army, 82nd Airborne Division, 101st Airborne Air Assault Division, and an airborne paratrooper. He served with several units, reservist active, 490th Civil Affairs BN, Battalion, all right, thank you. 27th Combat Engineers Battalion and long-range surveillance units. He carried out multiple military occupational specialty codes and skill addition identifiers. He achieved numerous military training schools, which promoted his dexterity for leadership. His first combat campaign was Operation Desert Storm and post 9/11 combat campaigns, Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom, Afghanistan. The repercussions from the countless years of carrying out rapid back-to-back deployments resulted him with PTSD. The two IED explosions, and we talked about it before, that these explosions occurred years apart, aimed to destroy and kill military vehicles and obviously servicemen, inflicted additional mental, physical disability, including traumatic brain injury. His selfless sacrifice to defend America's freedom discloses his motive to stand for conservative perseverance in Texas. In 2013, after retiring from the Army, Scott started a construction company, Texas Wounded Veterans Builders and Contractors Incorporated, with a mission to hire disabled veterans because a lot of them have been medically diagnosed with PTSD. Scott R. LaMarca is married to Antoinette for 10 years. They have one teenage son, and they reside in Wiley and live in a mobile home community. He and his family rely on a fixed monthly income. And despite the continuous financial hardship, the LaMarca family will not allow the financial struggles to cloud their judgment for conservative values. Retired Staff Sergeant LaMarca speaks on behalf of the unexpired military oath and selfless dedication to Texas residents. His conservative Republican upbringing molded him into the natural born leader he is today, willing to fight for Texans and the Constitution. Scott, thanks for being with us today.
You're welcome.
Okay, and Dennis London joined the United States Marine Corps fresh out of high school and served until being honorably discharged in 1994. Now a service-disabled veteran, his military service had him stationed and serving in countries around the world. His last assignment was at Marine Corps Air Station El Toro, California, where he met his wife, Sherry. They bought a house and resided there until moving to Rockwall County in 2018. Shortly after arriving in Texas and well before the thought of running for any political office, Dennis traveled to numerous counties across North Texas, giving a presentation entitled Don't California My Texas, which focuses on his personal witnessing of the fall of the Republican Party in California, and more importantly, Orange County, which was for decades a Republican stronghold. Now, I have clients in Orange County. It's still somewhat Republican, isn't it? A solidly Republican? It's no longer solidly Republican.
It fell the year we left, 2018. It turned blue.
No kidding. I did not know that. Okay. Wow, that is shocking. The purpose of the presentation that Dennis gives is to educate voters on the importance of getting involved and, more specifically, voting. Dennis is an active and participating member of the Rockwall County Republican Men's Club, Republican Women's Club, and the Republican Hispanic Club. He regularly attends Rockwall's monthly GOP luncheon, among others. Dennis is also an active member of the Rockwall veteran community and holds memberships in the Marine Corps League, American Legion, as well as Band of Brothers, Sisters, and Friends. He is the Rockwall County Coordinator for Toys for Tots and supports other nonprofit organizations that serves those in need, including Lone Star Casa, Rockwall Helping Hands, Patriot Paws, and Travis Manion Foundation. Now, I'm not familiar with Travis Manion Foundation. What is that?
So the Travis Manion Foundation was more along the lines of supporting those or those entities or those individuals from the military that were just having problems with separation. And so Travis Manion, part of the motto is, if not me, who? So somebody needs to step up. Somebody needs to get involved and be engaged.
Wow.
So it's just another one of those military organizations that reaches out and lifts each other up.
I love it. Love it. He is also a member of the United States Marshal Posse, a member of the North Texas Crime Commission, and is a contributing member for the North Texas Infra Guard, where he communicates with the FBI regarding cybersecurity for the U.S. and Texas infrastructure. He is an active Christian and a knight in the Equestrian Order of the Holy Sepulchre of Jerusalem, and is currently the Deputy Grand Knight for the Knights of Columbus Council 9337 at Our Lady of the Lake Catholic Church here in Rockwall. Dennis and his wife, Sherry, have been married for 30 years and reside in McClendon Chisholm. Now, do you have any children?
No children.
No children. Okay.
Just dogs.
Well, that
counts. They count as children.
Yeah,
they're just as expensive almost without the college.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Well, Dennis, it is great to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank
All
you.
right. Now, the first question is a pretty easy one. Why are you running for state representative? And can you identify a vote or number of votes cast by State Representative Justin Holland that you most strongly disagree? Dennis?
Well, first off, I'm running because I wanted a true conservative Republican on the ticket.
Wow, that's a novel idea.
Yeah, no, I figured if I was going to have a true conservative Republican, well, okay, we'll wait. We'll find one. We'll look for one. And we couldn't find one. Nobody was willing to step up. And, I prayed, I thought about it, I talked to people about it, and it just wasn't happening. So going back to that Travis Manion Foundation, right? If it is to be, it's up to me. So that's why I threw my hat in the ring. I mean, you asked me, the first part of this question was really about what votes cast did I disagree with?
Yes.
Okay, well, there's a complete advocacy for our legislative priorities. That's even before any votes cast.
So the legislative priorities that were basically voted on by all the thousands of delegates that attended the Republican State Convention, among all of the platform positions, there were 8 of them that we all voted on to be our legislative priorities. That's what you're talking about.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I was there with you at the precinct level before it went up and, worked its way up there. So
That's
yes.
Right.
Absolutely. And those were the things. And the idea behind it is the priorities. We want you to place them first above everything else.
Yes.
Accomplish these, then move on with the rest of the mission. And they weren't doing that.
No.
Right? So, okay. So what votes in particular would I disagree with?
Yes.
The first thing would be electing Dade Phelan as Speaker of the House. Come on. A man who is openly opposed to the Republican Party platform. Why? Why in anybody's world would you want him as Speaker of the House?
Okay, let's talk turkey, because in Texas, the Democrats, they hold they are the minority, but they hold enough votes that if a Republican like Phelan can gather the Democrats, and this is what happens every session, they basically find a few other Republicans who are willing to go along to get along, and who are promised, and this is Democrats and Republicans, they're all promised some choice committee chairships and committees. And so, I've run political races for people like Leo Berman, even Dan Flynn when he first got in, when he was very conservative and voted against the speaker at the time. And anyone who votes against the speaker is going to find themselves on the back seat and not going to be on the committees that they want to be. They're not going to have any chairmanships. They are punished severely. So that's the reality.
Sure.
So go talk about that. How if you're elected, are you willing to sit on the back bench? And because it is it's kind of, if you listen to people like Justin Holland, who you're running against, he would say, well, then that's not really serving the people of Rockwall, because we can't really do anything. I'm not on any big committees. And so you have to kind of hold your nose and vote.
Okay. So let's think about this.
Yeah.
If there's a committee, it's substantial, right? Otherwise, there wouldn't be a committee for it.
Yeah.
If you have a seat at the table, you're a member of the committee. Okay. The chair and vice chairs of those committees are the ones running it.
That's correct.
Okay.
They decide what's moved forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What gets heard, what's get read, what
right.
moves forward, what goes to calendaring, and everything else, right? I mean,
Yes.
we understand that.
Yes.
Okay. Why then? And this, I'm going to pose this one back at you. Why then would a Republican-led legislature go ahead and hand Democrats, the minority party, chair and vice chair positions?
Well, that's a very simple answer, because power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Right.
So,
they're
willing to do that.
Do you know the numbers on the comparison of chairs to vice chairs?
No, I don't.
We give up 32% of our chair seats to Democrats.
I thought it was more, but that's
1/3 of the chairs go to Democrats. You want to know why we don't get our legislative priorities through? That's why.
Yes.
You ready for another surprising statistic?
Go ahead.
62% of vice chairs are Democrats. Why don't we get our Republican priorities through? Gee, let's think about that.
So, Dennis, you want to be one of those Republicans. Yeah. You want to be one of the conservatives. You want to be a Brian Slayton, for instance.
Well, and Brian Slayton even proposed and said, we need to make sure that the minority party doesn't sit in a chair or vice chair position.
Right.
Holland voted against that.
Of course.
Okay.
As did most, and it never passed because most of the rhinos, which the legislature made up of. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Justin was asked why. And he says, well, we want to give them an opportunity to represent their constituents.
Yes.
You know what? Sure. Okay, let them represent. Oh, by the way, they have a seat at that table. They are representing.
Yes.
Oh, but it's not in a substantial, it's not in a substantial committee. If there's a committee, it's substantial. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a committee for it.
Right.
So, yeah, actually, everybody in Texas loves football. Almost everybody, 98, 99%. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to use a football analogy on you.
Okay.
All right. You tell me, would you, as a football coach, would you allow your competitor's defensive coach to run your offensive line?
Well, of course not.
But why are we doing that with the Democrats?
Well, I just said. So my question, okay, we both agree with the problem is.
Absolutely.
So how are you going to change it?
We need to get Slayton to file that amendment again, or I'll do it, or somebody will do it.
Yeah.
And then we need to talk to people about the reason why. Do you know, I believe, and if my research is shown correctly, I believe we're the only state in the country that does that. U.S. Congress doesn't even do that.
Well, we're the only state in the union that also meets only every 2 years.
Yeah, well, God bless us for that.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, that leads to a whole nother topic that you didn't have a question on. So
yeah, no, that's absolutely right. But my point is, this is an uphill battle that we're fighting.
Sure.
So how do we fix it?
You have to have people who are willing to stand up to quote unquote the machine, right?
Yeah.
I'm for term limits. Okay. I've told people that before. I signed a pledge for that. I put that out there.
Yes, you did.
All right. And I know immediately walking in there, ooh, you're against her. Right? Okay. They're going to be against me.
Yeah.
I know that right off the bat.
Yeah.
Here I am talking about not supporting Phelan. They're going to be against me.
Yeah. So Justin Holland will say, well, all you're going to be is just a noisy gong in the House. And by the way, let's just be very clear about something. I like noisy gongs. Okay. I prefer them to people who just go along to get along. So I'm playing devil's advocate here, not criticizing, but I am saying that what Holland is doing, and as an incumbent, he's got a lot of money. Sure. He's spending it, and he hopes to outspend you. but and people will not ask questions or look closer. But he's going to argue that he's the one who's actually representing the district because he's actually on committees.
Right. So
by
he's
doing
also
that.
going to tell you that, I'm on these committees, and he just, Speaker Phelan just appointed him as, vice chair on the sunset, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If something isn't heard and a vote wasn't declared on it during the sunset, it's automatically approved for the next year. He doesn't have to work. All he's got to do is just let it come on in. If it doesn't get heard, it gets approved.
Is there anything more specific you want to talk about?
Well, one of the things that, Texas First, for example, right?
Okay.
One of their pledges is that you're going to support and defend and protect the monuments and memorials.
Yes.
Okay. Of all Texas.
Right.
Okay. Justin doesn't support that.
Right.
Okay. How about banning taxpayer-funded lobbying?
Yeah. And
Justin voted against it.
He voted against it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. These are just, if you take a look at his, and, he doesn't like the SREC report card.
Right. Of course not.
You know what? But anytime somebody brings up the SREC report card, and it was actually brought up during a meeting that I was at, and he was there, and he said, well, they make that to make you not like me. I want to be held accountable. Okay. I've always been that way. Hold me accountable for what I say and what I do. If I don't do something, hold me accountable.
Yeah.
If I'm supposed to say something and I don't say it, hold me accountable.
Yeah.
Don't make up an excuse.
Very good. Very good. Scott?
I'm pro-life. I'm pro-Second Amendment. I'm a leader. We don't need politicians in office. We need leaders. We need leaders that are going to lead by example and set the example for others to follow. When people run for election, we hear the typical thing. I'm conservative. If you vote for me, I'll do this, I'll do that. And then when they get in, they don't perform. Yeah. Or they become the true rhino that they are. Yeah. I feel that I am what Texas is looking for. I am a non-commissioned officer. I am not a politician. I cannot be bribed. I cannot be bought. I cannot be compromised. I stick straight by the Constitution. I defended the Constitution. I have injuries that I got to deal with the rest of my life because I defended the Constitution. I love my country. I love my state. I'm all 100% conservative. I was raised conservative. I've done nothing but vote for conservative since I started voting at the age of 18. I stand with the values of loyalty, duty, and selfless service. So my duty is to go in and to defend the Constitution, to be there for the Texas values, for the Texans, and my duty is to go in there and to fix all the issues that we have with our legislators not listening to the voters. Justin Holland, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen during the time he's been in office, he's not about the true conservative values. He's more about his self-service. And being that with the actions that I've seen Justin Holland do, I don't feel that he is a benefit to Rockwall or District 33 at all with trying to get rid of the Democrat ways, the rhino ways, get rid of corruption, get rid of the illegal immigrants. I just don't feel confident in Justin Holland. I feel that he's a typical rhino and that we need to replace him.
One of the things that we talked about before we came on the air is that you've been paying a lot of attention and become very active in focusing and helping focus on our legislative priorities, the 8 legislative priorities that the Republican delegates identified among all the platform planks as the most important. And talk about that. Where do you feel Representative Holland? How well has he helped achieve those legislative priorities?
As a member of that stat organization that was constantly calling the legislators, trying to get them to pass bills that Texans voters wanted. Yes, they wanted.
No question.
That. And to see that they blew it off, or they ignored it, or they allowed the bill to die, I I have a problem with that, because the bottom line is, when you're elected into office, you work for the people. The people don't work for you. If the people want HB 1359, then HB 1359 should have been heard and voted on, and it should have been, because the people wanted it. That's why it needed to be done. It's not up for legislators to decide what they will and won't hear, or what they will and won't are concerned with putting their attention to. If it's what Texans want. Texans want certain things, like right now they want border security. When I see the legislators that are in office, when I see them on the phone wasting time showing, oh, see, look at me, I'm at work, but like Justin Holland did during when the Democrats left. Why is he busy on the phone trying to impress everybody that he's at work? That's his job. But at the same time, he doesn't need to tell the voters that he's there and that he's not a Democrat. It's like we're at this war with the Democrats and the Republicans so much that we forgot that we have a duty and a responsibility. There shouldn't be this back and forth argument between our legislators and our governor. If our governor is doing everything by the constitutional ways, our legislators should be backing and supporting the governor, because he's supporting it and backing the Texas residents. Yeah. So the bottom line is, I see too many legislators, and pretty much majority of the legislators, I feel, failed the Texans.
Very good. Next question is, do you have a faith? And if so, what is it? And how will it or does it guide you if elected? Scott?
Yes, I have a faith. I'm Catholic. I have my saint. My patron saint is Saint Michael. And I believe that God has a mission for me, because of the two ID explosions that I experienced. I'm surprised that I'm still alive today. And so I believe God has a mission for me. I believe faith in God has helped me through all the tough times that I've experienced, especially all this corruption I've experienced where I live. And so I believe that God will guide me in always making the right decision, the right and moral, ethical decision.
Very good. Dennis?
So I'm a Catholic who believes in the sanctity of life. And we're all created in God's image, from conception to natural death. Okay. Yes, men, we have, we have a fallen nature, right? People will do things. There'll be greed. There'll be distrust. There'll be all these issues that come up, right? I mean, you're a religious man, right? So we sit there and we have to think about, all right, how are we going to run ourselves based on our faith? How are we going to run ourselves and hold ourselves accountable? If I can't go to church and I can't look at the guy in the pew next to me, or I can't talk to to my pastor, how am I ever going to live with myself? God sees all. Okay, we're not able to hide from all of this. Okay, we have to have a faith-based, backing. You have to have a backbone, something of substance, which is going to hold you up.
Very good. If elected, do you see yourself as a representative or trustee of the people? Now, a representative will act in ways that he or she believes those who elected them would want them to act, while a trustee acts in ways that they believe are in the best interest of the people, even if those who elected them oppose such actions, like shutting down businesses and places of worship during a pandemic. Dennis, how would you answer that one?
Well, first off, it's in the name. Representative.
Wow.
It's real simple. Okay? I mean, whoever thinks that being a state representative means that you get to be a trustee and make it up as you go along is a little diluted. Okay, we can go back to that faith-based, how is that going to guide you aspect. Okay, it's in the name of the position. You are a state representative. You're a representative of the people. The people vote for something. The majority of them, they're telling you, this is what we want you to do. You go, okay. If you don't like it, you can go back to them and go, hey, I got a problem with this. And you can address it with them. If not, then you're a trustee. When 90+% of Republicans all voted and said, we want to ban gender modification and genital mutilation of children, and it didn't happen, That's not representation.
Hmm.
Same thing with protecting our monuments. Same thing with, I mean, we could go on. School choice, everything else, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got 87%, 90%, 92, 97% of people all want all of this stuff passed. And our representatives didn't do it.
Great point. Scott, how would you answer that?
When I go to state, I want to make sure people contact my office and tell me what they need.
Yeah.
I don't want to go start passing bills. I want what the people want. If people want property tax gone, then I need to work on that issue. If people want any kind of bill that they want, I'm there for the people. I'm not there to make the decision what I feel is necessary. That's the thing I see about legislators. Legislators get in office and they make this choice what bills they want to die, what bills they want to vote on, instead of hearing what the voters want. The voters tell us what they want. They tell us what they need. We shouldn't be making those decisions. It should be the voters. It should be going off a majority of what voters want. If majority of them want this bill passed, then we should be focusing on that bill, not on other bills that we feel that might benefit us, benefit somebody else, or benefit, as I was told by, or given some information that I guess Justin Holland had passed or tried to pass a couple bills that had something to do with real estate, and that he's involved in real estate.
Yes.
So that's self-service.
Yeah.
That's not Texans. That's not important. What's important is passing bills to build our border wall, to get rid of our property tax. He should not be passing bills that he has a business. That's kind of corrupt to me in my eyes.
Very good. Next question is, when is it okay to enact statewide restrictions against private businesses or houses of worship? Scott?
I don't think ever. I honestly don't believe. For example, back to the last question, I'm unvaccinated and I'm unmasked. I have since day one, since COVID came out. I've never gotten the vaccination. I've been asked by the VA. I said, no way, I will not take it. Why? Because that should be up to the person to decide.
Amen.
That there's people out there that do natural healing, natural herbs, things of that sort, don't want pharmaceutical in their body. So I don't believe that the government should have control to say what is safe and unsafe for people. If people want to go to worship while there's a pandemic, then they should be allowed to go to worship. If people want to survive and be open their business, then people should be allowed to do that. The government should not have any say, because it's you that is risking your life, and you're the only one that can decide if you want to risk your life or not the government.
Very good. Dennis?
Never. Next question. No, I'm sorry.
I love it. What about?
No, seriously though, never.
Yeah.
Why would we want to do that? All right. If any business, any church, anybody, any organization is going to be open, let them be open. If they want to close because of a fear of, let's say it was COVID, or I'm sorry, vid, whatever you want to call it, I don't care, right? So whatever it is, if they want to close, let them close. They want to stay open, let them stay open. They want to go to a restaurant, they want to eat, let them do that. We're a free society. When have we come to a point now where, and remember, we're local control. Texas Constitution is all about local control.
Dennis, I mean, what if it's in your best interest? Because we don't want you to get sick with COVID. That's why we want the businesses and the houses of worship to be. That's basically the argument. We know how to protect you better.
But it's my decision.
Wow, you actually believe in individual liberty.
What?
Wow.
I'm a rebel.
Yeah, you're probably a deplorable too.
Well, hey, if
Join
the shoe fits, right?
Yeah, join the club, brother.
Isn't that right, Donald? Yes.
That's right. Great answer. Thanks, Dennis. Would you support an end to state property taxes? And if so, how would you go about doing it without adding a state income tax? Dennis?
Oh, I am absolutely ready to get rid of state property taxes.
Okay.
Please, let's do that.
Yeah.
Now, how would I go about doing it?
Yes.
Okay, now that's a pretty convoluted aspect to it. But I don't know if you've heard or you've talked to Huff Hines and West, and
They've been on the show. Yeah.
Okay, and I mean even Chad, right, Prather.
Yep.
So they talk about it, and they say, look, within 8 to 10 years, we could get rid of that. The state has a surplus budget already.
Yep.
And so if we start doing this, like what we did with some of those tax breaks that were given for veteran survivors, and folks like that, right? That didn't impact any of the schools. That didn't impact any of those others, because why? They took that money out of the state budget surplus. So yeah, we have the money there. All we have to do now is just start chipping away at this debt. It's like anything in a household debt, right? You chip away at your debt, and all of a sudden now you have this more money to do other things. Now they have this pot of money over there, this surplus budget.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and use it. And let's use it to pay off all of this stuff, to relieve the burden on people, because honestly, I don't want to be renting my land from the government.
Well, so the surplus will get us so far. How do you pay the bills once that happens?
So we still have, money coming in through taxes. Okay, now maybe
through what taxes?
So through the taxes. Okay, now maybe we do have to increase a little bit on, let's just say your sales tax. Maybe you have to increase that a little bit. Would you rather have that increase just a little bit, or would you rather keep your property taxes? I'll pay a little bit more at the register. So
you're going to vote. Are you going to lead the charge, co-author bills to? I mean, is this something that is going to be obviously? And I suspect, and I've been a delegate to every state convention since I've turned 18, and I can tell you that as far as platform goes, this is probably going to be the next legislative priority for the party. The way everything's being talked about. So, would you make that a priority?
Absolutely.
Okay. Very
Absolutely.
Good. Very good. Scott?
Okay, now I did a lot of research on this one because I tried to figure this one out. First off, state, we don't really have a state property tax because the state doesn't do our taxes. It's our local government, county, things of that.
Yeah, but those are still state-led agencies. Even though the county assessor is still a statewide.
Yes, okay, I understand.
Yeah, so we do have property tax.
Yes, and I'm not saying we don't have property tax.
Okay, all right.
I'm saying under Article 8 of the Texas Constitution, it talks about that taxes are taken care of by local government, not by the state government. In other words, the local agencies decide the rates. The local agencies decide collect the payments. It's what I read in the Constitution. Now, I do believe that we need to go back and amend the Constitution because we need to make it where it's not at a local level, that the state has the authority to make those changes, some of those changes. But if I'm going to say I'm stand by the Constitution and I read word for word in the Constitution, it says that the state legislators don't have the right to choose the rates, then I can't sit there and go back and say that I would just come and change that without changing or amending the Constitution, because the Constitution, word for word, is what I'm standing by. I'm standing by the way. You're
talking about the state Constitution.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Texas Constitution. Article number 8. I read it. I have the book at home. I read the whole thing, trying to figure it out. As far as what I believe that we should look into replacing property tax is consumption tax. I believe we should replace that as an alternate then versus a property tax.
Talking about sales tax.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Well, the federal government is responsible for protecting our nation's borders, including between Mexico and Texas. However, nowhere in the U.S. Constitution or any congressional statute is immigration enforcement granted solely to the federal government. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia expressed this same view by stating, "It seems to me entirely appropriate when the state uses the federal law as it must as the criterion for the exercise of its own power and the implementation of its own policies of excluding those who do not belong there." Therefore, most constitutional conservatives have argued that the state of Texas as a sovereign political entity has the inherent authority to enforce its own borders and protect its citizens. Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution guarantees that the federal government shall protect each state of the Union against invasion. Yet, despite the fact that former Vice President Biden has ignored this constitutional mandate, the framers added another guarantee for the states under Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, where the states reserved their sovereign authority to act in the protection of their citizens when threatened by invasion or imminent harm. So here's the question. Do you believe that the state of Texas is being threatened by invasion or imminent harm? And if so, how will you work to secure our border and crack down on human traffickers and cartels that bring violent crime to Texas? If not, what must happen for you to support state-initiated action to secure our border? Scott?
I do support it. I do believe we need to build our wall. I do believe that we need to think about or look into possibly starting our own agency within the state that controls our wall or oversees our wall. I believe that we need to look into possibly deporting some of these illegal immigrants out of Texas, especially, and the ones that are criminals, we need to go ahead and imprison them, but we don't need to imprison all the illegal immigrants. What it says under DHS as far as entering the United States, and as far as I know from experience of being in the military and being in all the different kinds of countries of the world, in order to enter that country, you must enter it with a passport. When you enter the country and you just come across the border and you don't have a passport, you're coming in here illegally. You're breaking the law. You are invading our country, unwanted. And so I believe that we need to look into this, and this should be a priority. This is very, very important. As far as cartel, I live around an environment or in a mobile home park that has nothing but legal immigrants, and I see the crime rate there. I see the drugs. I see the things. And it all affects Rockwall because it's right next door to Rockwall, and it's all being pushed into their schools. It's all being pushed. So, yes, we do need to look in getting rid of these cartels and MS-13 and doing what we need to, because here's the deal. Example, Obama, he came in, or he became a president, and he was a president. He opened the border. Then we had President Trump that was elected. He shut the border, and we were safe and sound. Now we have another president came in. Well, he didn't come in, as far as I'm concerned. He is in office, and he's opened the border again.
That's why I call him former Vice President Biden, by the way.
Yeah, well, I got other names for him, but, but I don't want to say that on your show.
Sure.
But I will say this, that why should Texans have to keep suffering? Because every 4 to 8 years, we're going to have a new president. And a new president gets into office, one will open it, one will close it, one will open it. Texas needs to just take control of our borders, so that way if another president gets in there that decides they want to open it, they can't open it because we control it.
Very good. Dennis, how about you?
It's funny, have my little pocket constitution in there, Article 1, Section 10, no state shall enter into. And it's absolutely right. We sit there and we talk about all of the states' rights. And, I'm glad you mentioned, the U.S. Constitution, Article 4, Section 4. I've talked about this with people, and I said, look, this grants us the ability to defend our own border from an invasion. I don't know about you, but I call 1.5 million people crossing our southern border in 1 year from over 147 different countries. This isn't just one or two little here. No, 147 different countries. That's an invasion, out and out. Yeah, absolutely. I call that invasion. Yes, that is a threat to our democracy. Yes, that's a threat to Texas, to our civil liberties.
So what do you? We agree on that it is an invasion. What are you going to do about it?
Well, I kind of like what Huffines was saying.
Okay.
All right. We have 25 bridges, that cross that gap. We pay for them. We pay to maintain them. We can close them. We can just shut it down. That's going to directly impact a lot of the trade routes and things like that. We understand that. Yep. He has a plan for that, and he's going to work for that. So, I would support that. If you talk to West being a military man, he's like, oh yeah, we get the troops activated. We get down there on the front line. Okay, do you ask a Marine what we want to do to repel an invasion? I'm going to camo up. I'm going to get ready to go.
Okay.
All right. But that's a whole different scenario. I mean, that's not necessarily our reaction to this. It may get to that point, and if it does, and we have to physically repel the invasion, we need to make sure we have the right forces and everybody in line to go do it. But why don't we start with, hey, how about this? Here's a novel concept. The wall's already been paid for. Why don't we just build it?
Yeah, the supplies are down there.
Right?
Yeah.
We have the contractors ready.
Yeah.
They're sitting there going,
Yep.
can we build? Can we build? How about we put them to work? We start building those sections of the wall. Those sections of the wall that were built, what have they done? What have they seen? Well, they saw a decrease in traffic. They saw a decrease in crime. Those towns, those cities, those people are now a lot safer because, well, they're not getting through.
Yeah.
2 + 2. Hey, it equals 4. So yeah, I'd say we start there.
Very good. Very good. Term limits has been a permanent fixture on the GOP state party platform, yet the Republican-led legislature has never taken action to pass such legislation. Do you support term limits on state office holders? And if so, what should those limits be? And will you hold yourself to that standard regardless of if a law is passed? Why or why not? Dennis?
Absolutely.
Yes,
All
you've
right.
already signed the pledge.
I have. I signed the pledge. I posted it, made it public, told everybody I am full on for a 3-year maximum term.
You mean a 3-term?
3-term.
That'd be 6 years.
6 years.
6 years. Really? Okay. Yeah. I'm more prone to a 12-year term because it's U.S. senators give them 2 terms, and congressmen can have 6 as you could have 6. But you're limiting yourself to just 3 terms.
3 terms.
Huh? Why? Why 3?
We need to get back to having statesmen.
Yeah.
All right. I see we have too many people that they get started into this and then all of a sudden, ooh, I could make a career out of this.
Yes.
I could. Oh, no, get back to being a statesman, because in that, if you go, I would love to be able to go back in time and talk to some of our founding fathers and some of our early statesmen about this. Just simply because when you go back and you look at this, all right, and the ideas and the principles are still there. We come from our business, we go and we legislate, and then we return back to our communities, our towns, our homes, our families. And we have to live in and amongst everyone that we were legislating for. And we have to live under the same rules that we just passed.
Yes.
None of this, all for thee except for me, right? No. I'm sorry. Everyone gets included in this. There's no exceptions. Now, did you also know, and this is part of the reason why I'm really for term limits, and they're going to hate me for this when I walk in there with it as well.
Okay.
Did you know that our part-time legislators actually get retirement benefits?
They do after 8 years. That's correct.
8
once,
years
once
at the
they
age
hit
of
the
50?
8 year. Yes, that's right. And
12 years at the age of 60.
That's right.
Do you know how much that equates to?
Yeah, it's equal to a state judge's
a full-time
state judge's salary, and every
district
year
judge's salary, which is about $140,000 to $150,000.
Well, right now, but every year they seem to be getting a pay raise somehow. Yeah, that's kind of a
so.
Fun
how
little...
does a part-time job? That's what it really is.
It really is, yeah.
Because you got to think about it, all right? If you do, and let's just sit there and say, okay, well, you do your 8 years, okay, your 4 terms. Why do you get a full-time retirement package based on a district court judge, full-time district court judge, at $150,000 a year with survivor benefits and everything? Why? Why is that?
Because they make the rules.
Right. But that's
if
also
you can sign your own paycheck, which is what they do.
But that's also why you have people that get so enticed by this and they're like, oh man, all I got to do is just survive 8.
Yes.
Notice I didn't say fully serve and legislate and advocate. They just have to survive 8. They
That's
just
correct.
have to make it 4 terms.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So I'm threatening Justin's potential retirement package.
Mm-hmm. You sure are.
Yeah, he's going to hate me.
Yeah. Well, and it was Jim Pruitt, actually, who's the former mayor of Rockwall.
Mm-hmm.
He was running when he ran for state representative, he actually proposed that if he were to win, that he would do away with pensions. He thought that's something that the state legislature should do. Is that something you would be
I'd absolutely
doing? Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
we got people that are working their way to it.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, all I got to do is get, one more term, 2 more terms. All I got to do is this, and I can make that happen. Really?
And you
Come
do
on.
know that you can refuse the pension, and many. One of my candidates, Leo Berman, who's passed away. His picture's up on my wall somewhere. He's former military. He served, I think, 12 years. He refused his pension because it wasn't an honorable thing to do. We don't see very many
No.
legislatures doing that.
No.
So, well, I appreciate that's good, and good to hear where you stand on those issues.
Well, I also think that people need to know that.
Well, I agree. It is a big secret. I think it is a
Yeah, well, the secret's out.
yeah. But you don't see it reported in the news at all. They don't talk about that.
They're not going to talk about it.
No, they don't.
What's she calling me? A gong? Big
A clanging gong.
a clanging gong? Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
glong. All right.
Yeah, that's right. and I love that. And I think and definitely something that we need to be focusing more on. So that's good. Thank you, Dennis.
Absolutely.
Scott.
Yes, I do. And matter of fact, here I gave this to you as well. I already pledged.
Yes, both you and Dennis London have signed this.
Yes.
So you're not just talking. You're actually putting it in print.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I believe, yes, term limits. And I believe when I read under Article number 3 of the Texas Constitution, we need to go back and amend it, because according to the Constitution, there's 2-year terms for the legislators, 4-year terms for the senators. And so I believe that we need to go back and amend it. And I think that we need to amend it the same as a president: 2 terms, 4 years each term. And that's the max you can serve as a state legislator, either as a House or a senator.
Very good. Well, I hope that this has been helpful for you to hear from the candidates who've answered some tough questions and gave you some straight talk. But I want to give each one of them the opportunity to speak directly to you about why they are the best choice for your vote this March. So with that, Scott, it's all yours.
Well, I am here because I love my country. I love my state. And I'm here to fight for Texans, just like I fought for 23 years of my life serving my country. I'm here because I'm tired of politicians not doing what they're supposed to be. I'm tired of politicians that are not listening to the Texas voters, or to the voters in the United States, period, in other states. It's time that we put people in office that are leaders, not politicians. Can't be bought, can't be compromised, can't be bribed, that's there for a mission. My mission is to take care of Texans as a Texas legislator. My mission is to take care of District 33. My mission is to get rid of corruption. My mission is to get rid of drugs. My mission is to focus on doing what I need necessary for Texans, for the safety, welfare, and liberty and freedoms of the voters in District 33. That is why I'm running, because I am a leader. I'm not a politician. I'm a retired staff sergeant from the U.S. Army, and I am a leader. That's what I did. I took care of troops. I accomplished missions. I made it happen. I don't sit there and talk about it. I'm not one that will tell you one thing and then do another. If I tell you something, I will do it. I will not make promises that I cannot keep. I am about doing my duties, my values. My core values are loyalty, duty, and selfless service. And those are what I believe, and that's where I stand.
Dennis?
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. One of the things that I think that does, qualify me, or better qualify me, as we said, is simply the fact that I do have a unique experience. I lived that life. I come from that environment. Joining the Marine Corps and moving around the world. Anybody that wants to tell me that I'm a Californian because I came from there, that's equivalent to, hey, guess what? I also was stationed in Egypt. Does that make me African? I was stationed in Japan. Does that make me Japanese? No. Okay. Neither does just living in California make me a Californian. I was considered a California elitist for some reason. Yeah, that came from his campaign chief of staff. All right.
You're talking about Justin Hollins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a California elitist.
Okay.
Because I think I can do it better. Yeah, you're right. I think I can do it better. I offer this perspective. I've seen the writing on the wall. I saw what happened. Don't let it happen again. I've given the presentation, Don't California My Texas. So what I did is I took my own advice, started doing my own research. I looked into what was happening, who was doing it, who wasn't doing what they said they were going to do. And I'm telling you, the deeper I dug, the more red flags I found, and I just didn't like it. So I got involved. And turns out getting involved meant I had to throw my hat in the ring to be the conservative Republican. And that's what I'm doing. So you can go to londonfortexas.org and then also text London to 36260. Get connected with the app. We're talking about transparency, accountability, availability. The app is going to have the easiest way for you to maintain and stay in touch with me, follow along, not just with the campaign, but when I'm down in the legislature, that app is going to stay with me. You'll have direct access to me, not just the staff, not to anybody else. You'll have direct access to me. You'll be able to call, email, text. You'll be able to get me and find out what's going on. If I have a question on legislation, I can ask you directly. I can just send out a big message to everybody that's on the app. What do you think about this? Here's what's up for this. It's real simple. It's real easy. londonfortexas.org. Get a true conservative down there, someone that'll advocate for you.
As you can tell, both of these candidates truly desire to earn your vote. If you have more questions of them or want to know more about their campaigns, I've posted links to their websites in the description of today's show. You're watching this because you want to be an informed voter, so be sure to share the link to this program with your friends and neighbors who can vote in House District 33. And don't forget that Election Day is Tuesday, March 1st, and early voting begins Monday, February 14th through Friday, February 25th. Remember the words of Thomas Jefferson, who said that when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. Remember, folks, we're a country of the people, by the people, and for the people, so let's keep it that way and get out and vote. So until next time, I'm Bunker Bob Steinhagen, looking forward to seeing you at the polls. Blessings.